hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that.
With the Gaza thing, I don't think it's over. It's clearly not, and I really doubt that Trump is ever going to flex any real power on that, for the reasons I outlined earlier, because he's got to deal with the arms lobby here as well as AIPAC and all that stuff, and it's just much easier for, I think, a lot of politicians to like not make that their enemy. And like you saw it with RFK, right? It was like RFK, he had so many enemies, like you couldn't help but kind of give him a pass for being a Zionist. At least me anyway, I was kind of like, okay, well, dude, the guy's fighting with pharma. He's fighting with like big food lobbies. He's fighting with like oil companies. He's got like every major corporate interest is aligned against the guy. I'll give him a little pass on the Israel thing because he's just like, okay, I don't want to fight everyone. That's the one political thing that you have to kiss the ring on. So anyway, moving on to this Trump Zelensky thing. What I thought was interesting about this, and I'm going to show you this right now, is they had clearly kind of planted questions in the press corps. And I'm going to start with, I thought this was pretty good how Trump handled this. Is why I can't help, one of the reasons I can't help but like Trump, right? Is because just watch this clip and the question and the way that he kind of responds to it, and you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Applied to Ukraine as an escalation, yet it continues using similar cruise missiles like Caliber. And
who are you with? You're Ukraine? Good.
He's like, who are you? The guy's asking him this question. He can tell by the framing of the question. He's like, who are you with? And the guy's like, oh, I'm with Ukraine. Yeah.
But Russia continue even using the cruise missiles and also nuclear-capable ballistic missiles in Ukraine since 2022. So do you consider providing Ukraine with the Tomahawk or similar missiles as an opportunity to equalize the possibilities of Ukraine and Russia and push Moscow to the negotiation?
Yeah, sure. We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're here. Okay? Fair question. Exactly as he told you to say it, but we're going to be talking about it.
Exactly as he told you to say it. So he's like, yeah, Zelensky put you up to that, didn't he? I thought that was great. On the flip side, it sounds like Trump did the same thing here to Zelensky and had a guy lined up in the media to ask him. And I thought it was really interesting that they pitched Zelensky questions at this press. I guess that's kind of what it's for.
Wait, please.
So listen to this.
This is your third time over here. And by the way, you look excellent.
So he goes, Zelensky, this is your third trip here. By the way, you look excellent, because Zelensky has like a suit on. I don't know if you remember, he got a bunch of shit. They're like, why don't you put a suit on when you come to these meetings and show some respect type shit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Listen.
This is your third time here. How different sitting across from the president is this time versus the two previous times here at the White House? And how confident are you, hearing the success rate of solving these prior wars, that he can get this war solved?
First of all, about suit. The same suit because the same president. It's very simple. The next president will have another suit.
Kind of insinuating that he's going to outlast the current president. And that on its own is like, oh my God, as an American, it has to like upset you to, unless, of course, you're one of these people who supports them.
Yes, about our relations with President Trump, I think we have important dialogues, and I think we begin to understand each other. Yes, and I know that the President is briefed very well about the situation in the battlefield, and he knows a lot what's going on in the battlefield in Ukraine, and I think it really helps. When you know a lot of things, a lot of details about one or another war, it helps a lot. But we are still in war, and I hope we can manage.
You have been hearing that there are some countries that are not meeting their commitment. You pointed out Spain. They said that like it's impossible.
So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny, and also telling the way that Zelensky responded to that question with a like, well, he has this suit and the next president will have a different suit. Yeah, because I'm going to be here whether you like it or not. I'll be here again begging for money when the next administration. So The next thing they get into here is the Zelensky's basically there because he wants Tomahawk missiles, which Russia has told Trump is a red line. And if he gives them those missiles that he can then shoot into Russia, that's kind of like declaring direct war against Russia, which makes sense. You know, like they wouldn't be doing, because it also takes Americans to shoot those missiles. So it would be actually American forces openly helping Ukrainians fire missiles into Russia if we allow this. So in this next clip, Trump kind of addresses the situation with the Tomahawk missiles, which is what Zelensky came to ask for.
What's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the Tomahawks? Do we have enough?
That's the problem. We need Tomahawks, and we need a lot of other things that we've been.
And whoever this guy is, just a quick sidebar, that you heard us, that is clearly like someone that Trump planted in the press room to ask these questions, or the Trump administration, someone in the administration, like, because these are the questions that he wants to answer. If you heard what the guy said, he said, what are we going to do if we get attacked and we don't have enough Tomahawks? And so it's like, that's the Trump excuse for not giving them to Zelensky, because it's the reality is probably that Putin told him, because he did a call with Putin before this. Putin told him flat out, like, if you give these guys these missiles, you're declaring war on Russia. So if you do that, that means we're going to retaliate in kind. So Trump is being, I think, this is my theory, of course, my little side theory, but I think he placed this guy in here to ask this question for that reason, because that guy is asking about, what happens if we get attacked and we don't have. So that's going to be Trump's excuse for not escalating the war and giving Ukraine those missiles.
Sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We've been, we gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. We need Tomahawks, or we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. One of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about Tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Just you.
So I like his answer on that. He's like, listen, we need the weapons, but hopefully we're going to get the war over without the Tomahawks. So that's good answer, Trump, on that one. And then the last piece from this press conference that we'll check out here, he basically talks about this reporter asked him, and like I said, I think this guy's a plan. He's like, are you going to ride the momentum from solving the war in Gaza into the Russia-Ukraine thing?
Do you think you can carry the momentum from the Middle East deal over to this deal? And
I do.
So, how does that move the needle?
Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought it could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear they took. That was an unbelievable military maneuver.
So I disagree with that, and that's him kind of making excuses for a gigantic mistake that he made in attacking Iran on the behalf of our friends in the Middle East, our best friends. But I think the rest of what he says, aside from the attack on Iran was the best thing ever, it was so great, the rest of what he says here is pretty on point.
The B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s. Yeah, I think nobody expected that to happen. And, we had 59 countries involved, and these were countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish, you had every country, Christian, you had every country, and many countries involved, and we got that done. And we got it done pretty swiftly after we set the table properly. We had to set the table properly. This should be one that we get done. And I think the table is set properly here now, too. And it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor to get it done. And the Ukrainian people are great, and the Russian people are great. And obviously they have much in common, as we understand. They have a lot in common. So it'll be a great honor to get it done.
Yeah, so he's being diplomatic there. And Bill Maher, I happened to catch Bill Maher the other night, which I don't really watch Bill Maher that much. Anyway, one of the things that Bill Maher kept harping on is that Trump somehow got both the Arabs and the Jews to like him. And I think that's important. It's like, and maybe it is that tough guy bravado. I don't know, but like he's saying here, set the table. It sounds like at the very least, these guys are willing to pay some kind of, respect to the views of these different kind of factions, and that's what you have to do. It's like they used to be like, oh, we don't negotiate with terrorists, or we're not going to even sit down. I remember when Obama was president, they're like, oh, Obama's gonna. It's like they would call him Neville Chamberlain because he was going to talk to someone who we once like did war with or something. You know what I mean? So there's a pressure to fold to that and be like, oh yeah, we're not going to. They did it to Trump when he met with Kim Jong-un and Putin. They're like, oh, he's a sellout to the commies and whatever. And now the Democrats are attacking Trump as a communist.